Okay, let's start. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hi. Can you check can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, I see.
Okay. Nah, I hope you are guys in a very great condition today. Um, so let's check what we have here. The water cycle. This is what we are going to learn today. It's about the cycle of water. So we are studying about science. Kalau lihat ini, ingat apa gambarnya? This is the water cycle, or you can say in bahasa siklus air ya. Ini pelajaran sains. Saya rasa ketika SD juga sudah dipelajarin. And we also have this one. If you still remember, this is the process of the metamorphosis, which also learned when you were in the, what is that? In the junior high school or the elementary. I believe that you are able to explain the process of metamorphosis very well and fluently. Another one, this is what I always have in my mind, a very big questions like when I was in a young age, I'm asking to myself like, why a big um, iron or metal, why is it not sink? Why is it floating? Jadi saya selalu punya pertanyaan dari kecil itu kayak, loh ini kenapa nggak tenggelam ya? Sementara kapal atau besi-besi yang lain kalau dicemplungin di laut itu tenggelam. Dan what's wrong with the ship? Kenapa ship itu nggak floating? Kenapa ship is floating, mengapung? Kenapa nggak sinking, nggak tenggelam? Kayak gitu. Nah, so I believe that you guys have a lot of curiosities, very big curiosities on every phenomenon you have in your life. For example, like how is the process of um, I know the volcano eruption, the earthquake, or whatever. So this is what we are going to learn, but we are not talking about the science stuff. We're not talking about the reason why the ship is floating, or we're not talking about why the what we're not talking about the metamorphosis, or we're not talking about the cycle of the water. But this is what we are talking about. We are talking about the explanation text. This text has been covered when you were in the second grade. I thought you learned about this last year, so I don't really teach you what it is about. Just a review a little bit about what the explanation text is. I believe that you still remember what it is about. So if we talk about the explanation text, what comes in my mind are these stuff: the cause and effect, the process, the word how and why. So based on this, words that I could easily explain that the explanation text is the information, the text that you can use to explain how and why. The text that you can use to explain why something has happened scientifically and how something is happened. So it's all about the process of stuff. You can give the cause and effect reason. Why this happens because of this. Then you give the stages of the and the explanation why. So the learning objective today is to review what is the function of the explanation text. As I explained that the function is to give the information of why something is happening and how it is happening. And then the second objective is to identify the structure. That's what we're going next slide. And then the last will be your assignment later on. You're going to produce an explanation text. Now, this is the sample of So this is the sample of explanation text that this is the sample of explanation text I got from one of XII. The title is How is Kite Flying? So from the title we can conclude that that the idea of, the point of this text is to explain the process or what caused kites flying. Jadi intinya dari teks ini poinnya adalah dari judul ya kita bisa lihat bahwa ternyata teks ini ngejelasin apa alasan secara saintifik kenapa si layang-layang itu bisa terbang. So you got this one, the title, How is a Kite Flying? Now let's take a look at the first paragraph. A kite is an object which is made from a light material stretched over a frame. Due to its light material, a kite will lift off the ground and fly when it is tilted into the wind. Well, what is the writer writing in the first paragraph? Look at the first sentence. A kite is an object which is made from a light material stretched over a frame. Second one. Due to its light material, a kite will lift off the ground and fly when it is tilted into the wind. Now, from the first sentence in the first paragraph, what we can see is that the writer tries to explain about the definition of a kite because he's talking about kite. So in the first paragraph, the writer talked about the definition of the kite itself. So this is called as the introduction. In your text later on, in your assignment, when you are writing the explanation text, what you can write in the first paragraph as the introduction, usually the general overview or the topic sentence of the topic that you are writing about. So like the first one, when you talk about maybe the metamorphosis of the frog, for example, the metamorphosis of the butterfly, for example, then you can talk first about the metamorphosis and about the butterfly itself. So what you can write in your introduction, it could be a definition. Jadi yang pertama untuk introduction-nya, kalian boleh membuat definition di awalnya. Or you can write, something general about the topic you are writing. Okay? Some say that in your introduction, you can write something like a hook because that's the point of your, that's one of the most important thing in your writing. When you are able to write a nice hook in your first paragraph, this introduction, then people will be interested in reading the whole writing of yours. Gitu. Jadi yang pertama, biasanya juga ada orang yang membuat dengan pertanyaan, like what is it? For example, like they are saying that, do you know the reason why kite is flying? So that's kind of a hook that you can write in your first paragraph in the introduction. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one, to the next paragraph. A kite uses wind to make it fly because it is heavier than air. When wind travels over the surface of the kite, it is split into two streams of air. One stream of the air goes over the kite, while the second stream goes under the kite. The next one. The upper stream creates an area of low pressure above the kite. The lower stream hits the kite at shallow angle and creates an area of high pressure. Next one, the high pressure area has a pushing effect, while the low pressure area has a pulling effect. The combination of push and pull can create enough force to lift the kite into the air. Now, for this one, the second paragraph, a kite uses wind to make it fly because it's heavier than air. A kite uses wind to make it fly. So in the second paragraph, you can write the reason why the kite is flying. Now the kite is flying because the kite used wind. So you can write it in your second paragraph. But it's not enough by telling that the kite is flying because of the wind, but you've got to explain how it has happened. Like, what is the wind doing so the kite could fly? Therefore, the writer can give the supporting sentences and the next sentences. Like, when wind travels over the surface of the kite, it is split into two streams of air. Nah, jadi di sini dia ngejelasin setelah topik sentence-nya, dia menjelaskan poinnya bahwa oh, ternyata si layang-layang itu terbang karena memanfaatkan angin. But that's not enough ya, nggak cukup dengan satu topik sentence itu doang, dengan satu sentence itu doang. Harus ditambah dengan supporting sentence namanya, because that's a paragraph. Ingat ya, when you write a paragraph, there's supposed to be topic sentence and then followed by supporting sentence. Supporting sentences, it could be 2 or 3 supporting sentences. Jadi menjelaskan. Dan ingat bahwa supporting sentence, because it is a supporting sentence, it means that the supporting sentence should support the topic sentence. Jadi harus berhubungan agar paragrafnya nyatu. So, ketika di sini dia bicara tentang angin, layang-layang memanfaatkan angin, makanya dia bisa terbang. Gitu. Nah, dijelasin, anginnya ngapain sih? What's happening with the wind? Kayak gitu. Oh, dia jelasin ternyata when wind travels over the surface of the kite, it is split into 2 streams of air. One stream of the air goes over the kite, while the second stream goes under the kite. Okay? So in the second paragraph, dia ngejelasin the first process, the first reason. Kayak gitu. Nah, the next paragraph. The upper stream creates an area of low pressure above the kite. The lower stream hits the kite at a shallow angle and creates an area of high pressure. The next paragraph is also another explanation of what's happening with the kites and the wind. Jadi di paragraf selanjutnya dia masih menjelaskan kenapa ada apa sih ternyata dengan udara tadi, dengan angin tadi, prosesnya seperti apa. So the second, in the third paragraph, the writer keeps talking about the next process. Kalau tadi dia bilang one stream of the air goes over the kite, or second stream goes under the kite. Nah, di sini dia ngejelasin upper streamnya itu apa? Upper stream creates an area of low pressure over the kite. Terus the lower streamnya ngapain? Oh, it hits the kite at a shallow angle and creates an area of high pressure. Next paragraph. The high pressure area of a pushing effect, while the low pressure area has a pulling effect. The combination of push and pull can create enough force to lift the kite into the air. Nah, the next paragraph dia juga masih menjelaskan, oh, there is a pressure area that use the pushing and pulling effect. Ya gitu. Dia ada proses tarik ulurnya. Ternyata juga berpengaruh. And then the last paragraph, kites have been known for 1,000 years. They are used for military scientific purposes. Today, kites are much used for leisure and competition. And this one, writer tries to explain about, to give the conclusion. Jadi isi dari konklusinya adalah tentang layang-layang tadi. Secara umum, oh ternyata layang-layang itu digunakan seperti apa, and then you know how it is happened, how it is used could be. So the idea of the conclusion is to give the summary of their topic. So remember that in the explanation, you got the introduction as your first paragraph, and then followed by the next stages. Ada apa sebenarnya, proses seperti apa, gimana terjadi prosesnya, and then the last is the concluding statement atau konklusinya. Alright, so I think that's all for our meeting today. And this is your assignment. Use the module I gave you to learn about more sample of how to write the explanation text. Your assignment is, let's explore the world. I mean, try to find the curiosity of why something happened. Jadi nanti coba dicari di rumah atau dipikirin kalian curious-nya tentang apa. And then try to find the answer, riset yang banyak. Kenapa satu hal terjadi, bagaimana satu hal itu terjadi, and then try to put them into the explanation text. It gives you the sample of, in the module, and that's on the assignment for this meeting. Thank you. I think that's all. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.